John reached the 3rd floor and turned to his right. The apartment door was 2 down on his left. As he approached it, he could hear the music playing inside. The pricks were having a party. For their sakes, he hoped it was a good one. He was about to knock when he heard the distinct click of a shell being chambered. Son of a bitch! The pricks had known he was coming and had set up the music to cover their actions. He had grown accustomed to going up against Nosferatu. They were nasty and fast, but unlike fighting humans, they were rarely very smart. Calmly, he drew both pistols, making sure the safeties were off, and pressed against the far wall. In 2 steps, he kicked the door open, twisting to his left to avoid the doorway. A moment later, all hell broke loose as guns inside the apartment riddled the far wall with their bullets. He'd heard 2 pistols and 1 assault rifle fire. As soon as the gunfire ceased, he set his foot and pushed off blazingly fast. Twisting to his left so he could see into the apartment, he spotted enough of a person to aim a shot at their leg before finishing his track across the opening. Fresh shots rang out, and bullet holes tore up the far wall once again. John took a couple of steps away from the door, then turned and ran into the doorway. He had barely started his run when a grenade floated out into the hallway. Instinctively, he sped up on his dive into the apartment and covered his head. As the explosion rocked the building, he pushed off the floor looking for any targets of opportunity. The guys had covered themselves well. He shot one he didn't recognize as being a mark in the head, splattering his brains across the couch. A second turned and tried to run to a back room when he shot him in the ass. That prick fell, his gun clattering in front of him. Turning to his right, John used his left hand to shoot Ass Munch again. In the leg this time. He turned back to see the first person he had shot trying to grab his gun and swing it up enough to get a bead on him. In a blur of motion, he took a step and kicked it out of his hand. John holstered his pistols and reached down to grab the first guy, pulling him up easily with one arm.
You just rolled snake eyes, asshole.
He dragged the first prick behind him as he walked toward the second. That man was almost in a fetal position, trying to grab both his ass and his leg at the same time. John grabbed his shirt and raised him a foot off the floor before shoving him down quickly and bouncing his head against the ground. It worked very well to silence his complaints. He appreciated the instant peace and quiet. John threw him up over his shoulder, then pulled up the second, who now complained about his own bullet hole. John noticed he had at least 4 of his own, pierced by either shrapnel or wood splinters.
Oh, shut the fuck up. You got 1 measly bullet. I'm bleeding out of 4 holes. What a fucking pansy.